Oh yeah. Shotty bang. Yo backboard.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Hooks In. I'm Laura Sanko, and y'all know who he is, of course, number 6 ranked Anthony Smith. So we're doing this, Anthony.
Yeah,
We're
I guess
doing a
we are.
thing.
I know we've been talking about doing some sort of podcast or something together for a long time, and here we are. And no better time now than the world is in a pandemic, and we don't have anything better to do. So let's just do it and let's talk about some fights and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I feel like everyone has a podcast right now, but ours is going to be different. We're going to be better than that. We're gonna bring some real practical information. I think part of what it got me excited about doing this was like the fact that you or I, or sometimes both of us, are going to be at these events. So kind of the idea of like we can provide a little bit of insider information at times. But I'm pumped, man. Thank you this was a good idea. I'm going to give you credit for this.
I will absolutely take it too.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'd be really fun when we're both on the road together, and we can almost do like an initial reaction afterwards. And I don't think we're going to pull the curtain too far back, so I don't want a lot of the fighters to get nervous that we're going to be dropping all their secrets and stuff.
Oh,
But I think that people would appreciate having a little bit of a behind the scenes kind of what did it look like from our perspective view. And I think people will enjoy that. And I imagine we're going to go off topic and we're going to riff and we're going to talk about stuff that maybe has nothing to do with fighting from time to time. And I think sometimes people can appreciate that too.
We're not going to tell any fighter secrets, but I feel like we might be able to tell some Chael secrets, maybe some, ESPN desk secrets.
Absolutely.
There?
I'm excited to let those go. I'm excited to let those go.
All right,
and hopefully
perfect.
we can have Chael on sometime and so every once in a while you can get Chael to drop his own secrets.
There we go. That'd be good. I always love listening to that guy talk for sure. But man, what a crazy weekend of fights, man. I'm kind of excited that we're doing our first episode after these particular fights because there's so much to talk about. And I was I was exhausted. I had a lot going on Saturday and a lot going on Sunday, but I made sure to carve out time to sit down and watch every single one of these fights. And I'm super glad I did. What fight, obviously the main event, which we will get to, but what fight stuck out to you the most other than that one?
Yeah, there was a little bit of something in every single one of the fights, like as we go down the results, what stands out initially to me when you just asked that question was Brendan Allen versus Kyle Dawkins.
Oh my God, I know.
And I think we can get into that a little bit, but you had Kama Worthy over Luis Pena by submission. I don't know who's seen that coming.
No.
Tanner Boser with a nasty knockout. Of course, our good buddy Yusuf, comes in and gets the job done to kind of pull the curtain on the night. So, I suppose.
And Kay Hansen, how about little Kay Hansen?
Right.
That was insane.
I thought the entire card was really, really good. And a lot of times you run into these fight cards where a lot of times maybe they don't have so much name value, and then people are kind of, talking trash on the card, and then those are the ones that end up being the barn burners, and the ones with the big names like your Poiriers and your Hookers, and like sometimes those ones don't always deliver, from top to bottom, and this one absolutely did. I can't believe not more people aren't talking about it. I imagine, on this Monday, there's going to be a lot of people giving this card a lot of hype.
For sure. The main card was pretty crazy as well. I thought the Julian Rosa and Sean Woodson fight was awesome. I don't, it's not fun to talk about, a teammate losing because obviously Sean works out at Glory MMA and Fitness, trains at Glory MMA and Fitness, I should say. And I know that you've spent some time on the mat with him as well, but I do have to, just as an unbiased reporter, give props to Julian Rosa, man. I mean, that guy has been through the ringer in terms of his career, which I'm sure you can appreciate on many levels of like being into the UFC, and then he was out of the UFC and then brought back in, and then Tough, and then Contender Series. And like for him to finally come in and take out a guy that had yet to be beaten and do it in a pretty awesome fashion. It's hard to say. I don't like cheering again. I don't like cheering for people who beat my teammates, but I do like cheering for fighters. You know what I mean? And I was happy for him in that moment, as disappointed as I was for Sean at the same time.
Yeah, I always find myself drawn to guys like that kind of do go through the ringer, and they have a lot of ups and downs, and and adversity, and I'm drawn to those guys because I just know what he had to go through. I know
Yeah.
how painful that is. I know what the bout looks like, and I know what all that stuff looks like. So, I do. I don't want to say I found myself rooting against him initially, but there's a lot of familiarity there with the teams and stuff, and I do spend time at Glory, and so you always want your guys to win, but at the same time, it's kind of like, when's this kid gonna catch a break? Like,
Yeah.
can this dude just get on a streak and have some good things happen for him for a while? Uh, so
Sean was looking so good in that
he
fight too, man.
he
He was
was.
piecing him up pretty good. And then I mean, Julian, I don't know, remember what moment it was in the fight where you just saw this like fire in Julian's eyes, where he just started really biting down on his mouthpiece. And when Sean would hit him and he wouldn't back up as much, he was a lot less on his heels. And then I think Sean got a teeny bit tired and he was able to snatch up that nasty Darce, but it was a good fight. It was a
Yeah,
good fight for
I
sure.
think that as the fight went on, I think he just had to decide, like, I have to get on the inside. Can't stand on the outside and just get picked apart like that and expect to win a fight. It doesn't matter
No,
who you're fighting,
not
especially
against a
someone. Yeah, he's
6'3" featherweight.
yeah, it's just not going to happen. So once he decided, like you said, to kind of bite down on his mouthpiece, and he's going to have to take one to get on the inside. I think at the beginning he was taking one and then trying to counter, just was coming up short. And then eventually he had to figure out, I have to take one, I have to get inside, and I have to stay inside.
Yeah.
And that's where things started going well for him.
Have you worked out with Sean at all when you've been at Glory?
We've rolled jujitsu once.
Okay, but you haven't sparred
No.
or done any stand up together?
I would
Because it's
probably
funny
avoid
because
it,
like you
if I'm
guys
being
are the
honest.
same. You guys are the same. You're 6'3", right? Or are you 6'4"?
6'4", yeah.
Yeah, but you're not like complete. You're about the same height, and he's a featherweight. That's
Yeah,
so
I would
crazy.
probably avoid sparring with him. I don't want to. I don't want to spend an entire round watching everyone see the shit get kicked out of me by a featherweight.
Stop.
So
Stop.
I would avoid that for sure. That kid's good, man. I'm out,
yeah,
and he'll bounce back. He'll bounce
Yeah, he
back.
will. He will.
He's young. It's early.
Yeah.
He'll be just fine.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What did you think of what did you think of the Mickey Gall Mike Perry fight?
It kind of went how I thought it was going to. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a big
Really,
Mickey Gall
I
fan.
was surprised. I was
Really?
surprised that. Well, okay, I was surprised that Mike was able to control Mickey on the ground as
That
much
was
as he
surprising.
was. That part,
That
I wasn't
was
necessarily
surprising for
surprised
sure.
who won, but
I thought that if they ended up in any grappling exchange, I thought Mickey Gall would have the advantage whether he was on the top or
yeah,
the bottom. But Mike Perry surprises me every single time he's out there. That dude is just such a maniac.
I know.
I think sometimes he's so crazy. Sometimes people don't take him serious.
I agree.
And I think that's one of his biggest attributes is no one takes him serious because he's a psycho.
Yeah.
And I love everything about Mike Perry. I love his attitude. I love his interviews. I love watching him fight. I didn't think going into the fight, I thought, all right, Mickey's got a chance if he can get a hold of Mike and kind of drag him to the mat, even if he has to pull guard. I think he could be okay.
Yeah.
It took about 30 seconds into that fight to change my mind. You could just see that it's just a bad matchup. First of all, stylistically for Mickey Gall, he doesn't possess enough power in his hands to back off someone like Mike Perry. He just didn't respect
someone who comes brawling at him. It's hard for him to like keep in the stand his ground.
Right, he just doesn't have enough behind him. Like
Yeah.
I've said it before. I think Mickey Gall should be a 55er. He just doesn't have the power and the physical attributes to back off someone like Mike Perry. You got to be able to crack if you want Mike Perry to take a step backwards. So another tough loss for Mickey.
I don't think he can make 55 though. I mean, you look at him and he's pretty shredded up at 170.
Yeah, he's just such a comparably to the rest. Like Mike Perry's not a big welterweight.
No.
So he's not even
thick.
Yeah, he's thick, but compare to if you see him standing next to guys like I've seen him next to Darren Till before,
Mm-hmm.
And Darren Till just towers over him. He makes them.
Yeah.
They look like they're in two different weight classes, and obviously now
they
they
are
are in
now.
two different weight classes. But at the time, Darren Till was still Tyron Woodley's not a huge welterweight either.
No.
And him and Mike Perry don't look that much different in size. Obviously, Mike Perry's a little taller, but
yeah.
I just for whatever reason I look, and maybe this is just the way he's built. Maybe I just look at him and think he's kind of skinny.
Tyron has a slightly different profile.
Tyron does. He does. That is a large little man. For sure.
That man is built. We'll just leave it at that.
He absolutely
he's built.
But again, and then I feel bad for Mickey. Like,
yeah,
that's another dude who's like, that kid's tough and
he's good. And I think like the way he got started in the UFC with the CM Punk fight and all that stuff, I feel like it's taken him a long time to earn the respect of the fans. And maybe I don't know that he fully has, to be honest with you, but that kid is good.
He
He's
is.
excellent on the ground, and he's really put his hands together. It was just, like you said, it was just a really tough stylistic matchup for him.
Yeah, and he's had 2 really, really tough fights. I mean,
Yeah.
when you talk about respect from the fans, there's not too many people that fight Diego Sanchez and Mike Perry back to back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough out for anybody. And Mike Perry, I mean, people forget Mike Perry went to a split decision with Vicente Luque. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's not a punk. You know what I mean? Like, if
No.
you and I think his antics and his attitude sometimes gets people mixed up on between, maybe you think he's this or that, but he's also a pretty bad dude, and went in there with his girlfriend as his coach and still
That's my next
put a clinic.
question. So when do I need to let James and Mark know that they're no longer needed and Michaela is your only coach moving forward?
She was blown away. She was like, I would never ever be in that kind of a position.
No,
But that's Mike Perry, I guess. Like, you can't really question it. Like, when he said it, I was
I
like,
love it.
makes sense. Makes
Yeah,
sense. I get it.
why not? It worked. I mean, listen, it worked. To
It
whatever extent it worked, it worked.
right. I mean, like, as much respect as I have for Mickey Gall, I mean, Mike Perry went in there with his girlfriend as his corner, no coaches, no training camp, and went 3 hard rounds and looked great doing it. Like, that dude surprises me every and then cuts a promo on the government
Yeah.
in his in his interview afterwards. Like, and I don't know who doesn't want to agree with that. Like, yeah, nobody likes
No.
paying taxes, bro. Like,
I
I'm
know.
with you there. So, like, you just find yourself drawn to a guy like that. Like,
I did think it was
I'm with
funny
you.
because like the way that he was talking in that post-fight interview, it was like he had recently figured out that he was going to have to pay that much in taxes.
Like, it
I
was the day
like,
before.
how long have you been fighting? Like, it's when you become a contractor and you don't have it taken out of your pay. I understand the first couple times, the first year, you're like, oh my gosh, wow, I forgot to pay, like, file quarterly the way a lot of people
Mhm.
do. But I was like, man, Mike's been fighting a minute, and I think he's just now figuring this out.
Oh my God. I remember having the same feeling when I heard it. Like, I hope he just didn't figure that out just now. Like,
Yeah.
I hope he's been paying it and he's just getting sick of it, and not
Yeah.
he just, because that dude's hit a lot of bonuses and made a lot of money.
I know.
But as a fighter, we all kind of felt for him. Like,
Yeah.
man, I hear you. Like, that shit sucks.
I love the I'm gonna talk. I don't think he even said IRS, the tax folk.
Yeah,
And
the
we're
tax
gonna see if we can talk that number down. I was like, I don't think you can do that. I
I'm
mean,
gonna
it'd
stay
be
in contact
cool
with him though and figure
if you
out
could.
if that works.
Yeah, for
If it
sure.
works
For
for
sure.
him, I'm
Let me
gonna
know
give it a
too.
shot.
Let me know too. I was I was envisioning what it would have been like if I had had Nathan in my corner for any of my fights. And like, I could never be cornered by someone that I'm in a relationship with, marriage, girlfriend, well, boyfriend in my case, whatever. I couldn't do it. And I was picturing what it would be like. And so when Nathan and I have an intense discussion, it's him, like, he's really good at interrogating.
Mm-hmm.
And all I was picturing was, why are you letting her hit you in the face? Why are you spending so much time on bottom? Why are you doing that? Why are you allowing her to get the underhooks? Why did you? And it would be terrible. What kind of corner would Michaela be?
I honestly hear McKay every fight that she's at.
Oh, really?
I can hear her during the fight, and it's not great corner advice. It's a lot of her getting. She gets angry at me. She gets very angry. Like, and in between rounds, I remember looking at her after I want to say it's the Elvis Mutapchik fight, or maybe it was Andrew Sanchez. I don't remember which one it was, but I had a tough first round where I just didn't get going and kind of sat back and was watching the whole time.
Happens.
I remember looking over there, and she had like this look on her face, like, "What are you doing? Let's go!" And I was like, "Okay, all right, gotcha."
Okay, sorry.
That's
I'll get back in there.
a lot of like like keep your hands up. Just it's a lot of screaming.
Which is
My
solid
mom
advice.
too. It's her and my mom. And Michaela gives me the same advice every time right before I fight. Be defensively sound and please get out of there as fast as you can. And that's usually it. And then it's usually anger and her screaming, like, "What are we doing? Let's get the hell out of here."
We need to get her mic'd up next time you fight.
We should. We absolutely should.
That'd be amazing.
I know that she hates when the camera comes over, like,
Yeah.
when you're the main event and they got your wife at the, right behind that barrier.
Yeah.
She hates it. She'll pretend like she doesn't see it. She'll start looking around and spacing off. She absolutely hates it.
That would be super awkward to have someone filming you watching your husband fight.
Yeah, during the John Jones fight, they sat there with the camera in her face for the entire
Oh,
25 minutes. So she like
God.
couldn't even
The whole
react to anything.
fight?
The whole fight. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Crazy.
would you? Because you don't want to like head smack. You don't want to. Oh,
Yeah, you can't
that'd
react
be
at
hard.
all. You just have
No,
to stand there and stare.
that's super awkward. Let's talk to them about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to.
We've
We
got those
absolutely.
connections. Let's talk to them
We
about
do.
that.
Listen here, camera guy. Leave these wives alone.
Listen, Zach, I know you're producing the show, but main event, man. Unfreaking believable. A lot of people talk about this being fight of the year. I certainly think it's up there. Definitely I'd say top 3 for
sure.
fights in 2020 so far. But round 2, I feel like that is up there for sure with round of the year. Absolutely crazy fight. Were you what were you thinking as you were watching it, and where were you watching it? Were you at home?
Yeah, I was at home. I was in my garage with a couple neighbors, and what, one thing that always kind of like weirds me out is when so we have our neighborhood's had a bunch of kind of like it's been a bunch of new people moving in, a lot of houses sold and new families, and it's been a lot of fun because there's a lot of kids and whatever. Uh, but there's a couple neighbors that aren't fight fans, so they've not really into the UFC. So of course, when I watch the fights here, everybody's invited. Come out. You can watch it in the house with usually the wives and the kids or whatever inside watching it, and then the dads are kind of in the garage doing their own thing. Uh, and there was a neighbor of mine that not a big fight fan, and I was like, I remember thinking, what a perfect fight for him to like kind of pop his cherry
Yeah.
of being hopefully a UFC fan. Uh, and it was amazing to watch him watch the fight
Yeah.
because I knew what I was watching. This is potentially fight of the year. This is second round, maybe best round ever.
Yeah.
And he was just so locked in, like it's like he couldn't believe what he was watching. Uh, so that was a really cool thing to watch someone who's not a fight fan watch that fight. But I was going bonkers. It's just until the fourth, I didn't feel like there was a clear, and maybe even going into the fifth, I didn't feel like there was anyone who was clearly ahead.
I
Like
agree.
there wasn't a momentum shift one way or the other. Typically, when you know a guy's going to win, you can see it. You can see the momentum change. You can see one guy's a little ahead and the other guy's chasing. And I never felt like anyone kind of had gripped onto a win yet until Dustin kind of started to pick it up and Dan started getting a little tired.
Who did you score the first 2 for? Because I honestly, I didn't have a clear-cut winner in round 1, but I think I gave it to Hooker,
Mm-hmm.
barely-ish. I felt like round 2 easily could have been a draw, but I know people don't like to score things that way. And then I gave the last 3 to Poirier. How did you score it? Do you remember?
Similar. It was
Yeah.
3-2 or 4-1. Round 2, I think I gave it to Hooker. I think he landed the harder shots. I don't know what the volume. I don't remember what the punch stat numbers were or what the count was, but I just felt like watching it. He did more damage with the shots that he landed in the second round.
In that round, yeah.
In that round, and I think I gave the first round to Hooker as well, and that was one of the ones where it could have been 4-1, could have been 3-2. Like I wouldn't have argued with you had you given it to Dustin.
Yeah.
But I think I gave it to Dan Hooker in the last 3. And not by a large margin, but Dustin kind of ran away with it. The fight was closer than the scorecards show. Like maybe it does show it's 4-1, but it wasn't a 4-1 blowout. They're still very, very competitive rounds.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I went back and looked at the scorecards, and all the judges had Hooker winning the first 2, and then Poirier winning the last 3. But one judge gave Dustin a 10-8 round in round 4, which I thought was interesting because I didn't necessarily see that. I'd have to be honest, I haven't gone back and rewatched it, but I don't remember there being a 10-8 round anywhere, honestly.
No, I don't remember there being a 10-8 moment.
No.
In the
whole
entire
fight.
fight.
That's what made it such a great fight.
It was so close and competitive. I didn't feel like anyone was ever almost out of it.
Yeah.
I thought in that 5th round it could have gotten a little closer. I think with some of those takedowns, he didn't necessarily keep them, but you never know what the judges are looking at. Are they counting it, or do you have to control? But
Yeah.
every time Dustin would get up, he would, he would immediately get his back off the fence, and start pressuring forward. And before the fight, I thought that Dan Hooker was going to have a hard time with the pressure of someone like Dustin
Hmm.
Poirier. And it's not even the physical pressure; it's that mental pressure. Like, he's been here a bunch of times. I think it was like his 8th main event. Um, he's been in there with some of the best in the world. Your Khabibs, your Conor McGregor's, the list is a mile long. There's not too much you're going to do to that guy to like get him out of his groove, or
Hmm.
unless you really, really hurt him, you're not going to really shake him too much. Like, maybe you do go up a round, you go up 2 rounds, like, it's a long fight, like, he's not going to get stressed out over stuff like that. And I think that experience is probably what gave Dan Hooker some problems. He's probably used to being able to swing that momentum a little easier with some hard shots and some
Hmm.
some good exchanges that maybe he wins. And Dustin Poirier, I actually talked about it on my show, my Sirius XM show, that I think that Dustin Poirier resets in between rounds better than anyone I've ever seen. It doesn't matter how bad the first round is. It's like he clears his head, and the second round is a totally new fight, and that's really hard to
Yeah.
do.
It's super hard to do. And I feel like uh, the shifts that I saw, so I felt like Hooker was doing a really great job of landing the leg kick early, and I thought it was going to give Dustin more problems later in the fight. But I feel like Dan kind of backed off of that a little bit. That he wasn't landing that quite so much a little bit later in 3, 4, and 5, and then I, when Dustin. I don't know. Obviously, you can't critique someone who won the fight and won it by unanimous decision, but he was making me nervous going for the guillotine instead of defending the takedown first. There were a couple of times I was like, oh gosh, stop doing it. Because like you said, you never know how they're going to score those moments, because Dan was getting takedowns. I'm getting lost in my rounds here, but I want to say 3, 4, and 5. Dan was getting some takedowns because Dustin was looking for that guillotine. But then, like you said, so active off of his back, and he's close on that armbar, I felt like, and the omoplata. I mean, he did. But I feel like judges don't always give a nod to that, right? They're not always the best about noticing submission activity or even striking activity, elbows and stuff like that off of someone's back. So that part, when they went to read the scorecards, when it was unanimous, I felt pretty strongly that it was gonna be Dustin, but I wouldn't have been like, my jaw would not have hit the floor if they had scored it for Dan, to be honest with you.
No, no, and I kind of felt the same when I was watching those guillotine attempts. He does have a really good guillotine, and
He
you kind of see,
does.
you hear about it like in the rooms and stuff. Guys that have been with him before, like, that dude's got a nasty guillotine. Got to watch. He's that guy. When you roll with him, you got to watch out for it.
Yeah.
Um, I think later on in the fight, I'd like to hear the corner in those later rounds. I'm wondering if they made that adjustment, because a little bit later on, he did start to defend the
Hmm.
takedown more and stopped giving up those easy takedowns by jumping guard to the guillotine. But uh, uh, that was the one thing that kind of had me nervous. Like, I didn't know how they were going to score some of those takedowns, and I think they got the right decision. I
Yeah.
think it was a
No,
really,
I
really close
agree.
fight, but I do think Dustin deserved to win.
It was such a good fight. I have a hard time going to sleep after fights like that. I end up usually watching the post fight press conference on my phone while I'm in bed, trying to like get my mind to relax. But man, that was incredible. And I gotta ask you, are you allowed to? I know rumors are flying. Some people are reporting that you have a fight coming up. Are you allowed to say officially, or is this just rumors at the moment?
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm good. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fighting August 29th, fighting Alexander Rakic. Are you working that
Love
show?
it. I think I was supposed to be, but it's during Contender Series, and I kind of told them like I can't do fight nights and Contender Series in the same week very often, because that just means I'm literally gone all week, and then I have another Contender Series, so it's too much. But no, maybe I'll
Yeah,
go as a fan.
yeah, you should. You should. I wish there would be fans. I don't. Doesn't
Oh
sound like
yeah, I
it's gonna
can't do
be,
that.
but
I forgot.
yeah,
I
doesn't
forgot.
sound like we're gonna be able to have fans. But yeah, I'd like to fight though. I just seen Zach Cummings is on that card too, so it's,
Yeah,
it's always cool to go through a training camp with with the teammate,
yeah.
fighting on the same card. So that'd be a lot of fun. And it's a tough fight. It's one that maybe name wise wouldn't necessarily get me super excited, but the
He's good
danger
though.
the danger
He's good.
factor is high.
Yeah.
So that's always something that you kind of need. That, like, you need someone that, I think at this point in my career, I need someone that keeps me up at night. I've gotten so comfortable, and I've just been in so many fights, and I just, there's not a whole lot that makes me nervous anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, and like, you're not going to put me in any positions or intimidate me or whatever. But a high danger factor is kind of exciting for me because you think about it before you go to bed, and it's
Yeah.
like the first thing you think about when you wake up, like, all right, I got to push it today, or this dude's going to take my head off. So
And he's not like he's not he doesn't play the game like John Jones does, in the sense that John will do his best to win every moment of the fight in terms of just of win. Of course, John's looking for the finish, but he's all about winning
Mhm.
the moments. So it can be a longer, more drawn out thing. But Rakic, he goes for it, man. So like you say, the danger factor's there, but I'm pumped. I'm so
Yeah,
pumped to see you back in
and
action.
it's a good, it's a good fight. It makes sense with where we both are in the rankings, and both of us are coming off of losses, unfortunately. Uh, and it's an up and comer, and I think
Mm,
that I need one of those young, hungry guys to push me, and then a win over him. He's got a lot of hype, and the
yeah.
only loss he has uh, is to Volkan Ozdemir, and you can't. There's nothing to scoff at. That guy's really
And
really good. So
wasn't he on like a 12 fight win streak before he lost to Vulcan? I mean,
yeah, something like that. And
he's
I think the
legit.
Volkan
Yeah.
fight was a split decision, so it was a close
Hmm.
fight anyways. This isn't a main event, so that's kind of exciting too. Like, there's something, I know that sounds crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I love being the main event. But 5 rounds is tough.
Yeah.
That always sucks. And then yeah, it's just it's not the focal point, so it's less about promoting the event. It's less about having to carry it, and I can just go in, fight my 3 rounds, and go home, and just kind of, I don't know, it's like kick it back to the 3 round club and just do my own thing, and I don't have to worry about anything else. It's kind of exciting.
Kick it back to the 3 round club. I like that. I like that
Yeah.
a lot. Man, I'm pumped for Fight Island. I'm heading out there. I leave Sunday. It's quite the process getting out there, but this first card is bananas.
How
It's
long's
going
the
to be
flight?
absolutely insane. The flight, I want to say, is like 15 hours. We're taking a chartered flight from Las Vegas straight into Abu Dhabi. So I have to
Whoa.
fly to Vegas, get tested, quarantine, get on a flight with only other UFC people, public's not allowed, fly to Abu Dhabi, get tested in the airport in Abu Dhabi, go to the hotel, get tested in the hotel, quarantine in the hotel until you get your test results back, and then get tested again on weigh-in day, and quarantine until fight night. So
Yeah, that's a process.
that's a long process.
Wow.
But it's going to be worth it because this card's nuts. 3 title fights. I love those cards.
Yeah,
They're
that's
crazy.
crazy. I,
Are you going to
I
have a
I'm
watch
excited.
party?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a watch party, and then I'm hoping that episode 2 is gonna be post that. I think
Yes.
they'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. Uh, yeah, I'm super excited for that.
Well, we're going to be the fights for us that are there local time. I want to say the fights start at 2 a.m.
Oh
If
wow.
I yeah, so I'm like reporting to the arena around 11 p.m. and I think we're gonna wrap around my math's probably off, but wrap around 9 a.m. It's gonna be great.
Wow.
Night
That's
shifts.
crazy. And are you
Yeah.
only staying for that? Are you only staying for that one event?
No, I've got 2. They asked me to do all 4, but there's just no way that I can be gone from my family for, a month. Burke's got school coming up, and Nathan has a job as well that he needs
Yeah.
to do. So, no, I'm going to be doing the first 2 in the social media role that I've got, the quick hit stuff on Facebook. So, which is kind of nice. It'll be a little bit more relaxed than doing the ESPN stuff. So I'll do the 11th and then the 15th, and then I'll head home after that. But I'll be there for Tim's fight, and I think Grant gets into town, and then I can't remember if Grant Dawson's fighting on the 15th or the 18th. Maybe the
No,
18th.
I
Anyway,
don't remember.
yeah. Anyway, it'll
Well,
be
if for
good.
those last 2 events, if they need me to put on a pretty dress, uh, and go do the Facebook stuff, you guys let me know.
I
I'll
will
be there.
definitely let them know that you are down to do some quick hits. Brendan Fitzgerald filled in for me, and I'm anxious. It's funny because like it's easy to measure how someone does on those because there's just the numbers right there. You know how many views you got. So I was like, oh, I hope I got more views than he did because I'm gonna get fired.
How did he
Brendan's
do?
gonna. He did well. He did good. He did good. I think kind of like on par. So the show or whatever you want to call it has been going gangbusters, and the UFC is super happy about it. I feel like Dana and everybody's like attributing a lot of the success to me, which I don't necessarily think is merited. I think it's just that people have an appetite for this stuff. So his numbers, I want to say, were maybe a little bit lower than mine. So hopefully I still have my gig.
Well, he's really good at hosting.
he's so
He's
good.
really good
Yeah.
on the post show when he's been doing it.
Yeah.
That dude is really good.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty
I'm
much
giving a
everybody
hard.
put him,
I
so
was texting him and giving him a
we'll
hard
be
time.
better
Like, don't be too good.
I'll
No?
be the better analyst. He can be the host. You be the better quick hits. He
Yeah.
can do whatever he does.
There we go. Well,
Perfect.
this was fun, man. I'm down to do a show post Fight Island. I might be a little tired, but we will.
Okay, you have to
we'll find
figure
some
it out.
time.
Listen here,
Find some time.
we're out here working. Okay, there's no time to be tired. You sleep when you're dead.
I feel that way. Sometimes
You feel
I feel
dead?
like,
I hear you.
yes,
These
yes,
kids
yeah.
are crazy. I can't wait till they go back to school.
Dude, I had a party for 50 people yesterday.
I know. How was that?
Which, by the way, thanks for not coming.
What did I do yesterday? I had something.
I know you were drinking. I know.
Oh,
that.
the birthday party. Yeah, I had some beers. I did have some beers, and I couldn't send a comprehensible text message to save my life.
I wish I could put screenshots up on this computer.
Right? It was ridiculous.
I was like, "What? I don't know what you're talking. What?
What?
What's that even mean?" And you're the worst, man. I'm calling you right out on air right now. By the way, you are literally the worst about texting back.
No.
I'll text you, and then you'll text me back, which is fine. Like if there's not an immediate text back, I get it. But then I will text you back immediately after you text. And it's like you took your phone and you just chucked it in the lake and it's gone. I'm like, you were just here. You were just here.
That's probably the biggest criticism I get from everybody is that I don't answer my phone, or that I'll respond. I'll be going, you text, I text, you text, I text, you text.
And then you're just gone.
And then I'm gone. Like, I don't know why I do that, but I've been like
honestly,
that my whole life.
It's probably healthy. You're not tied to your phone the way that the rest of us are.
No, I'm not. And
but
you know who does hate it really bad? Mark Montoya.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
Hates it. He's like one of those super communicators where he needs to communicate, and he needs you to answer your phone, respond back right away, which is fine. I absolutely get that. You know, he's head coach, so he's got
stuff to do.
Right, he needs that, but he absolutely hates it. I can't tell you how many times I've been chewed up and down the wall for not responding to his phone calls or calling him back or following up or responding to text. But
I mean,
I'll get better. I'll get better, guys.
He's not wrong, Anthony.
I know. I'll get better. You know what? That's going to be my. I don't know. That'll be my goal for training camp. I'm gonna be better.
Your mid-year resolution.
Yeah, I'm gonna get better about responding and communicating.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I need growth in my life too. So you're welcome to think about something that I could be doing better to further our relationship as well. And you can point it out on the next show.
That works. I'll make sure.
This is a two-way street. The list. Oh, it's a list. Okay, great.
Well, I'll have to figure out which ones are most important.
Okay. All right. A prioritized list. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Got you. I'm here.
All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. And we will see you guys next time. Peace.
She might put it down like the top back. She might do it all, I can't stop that. Yeah. She gon' put in. Whip it, top wrist. Whip it.